Once upon a time, in a lovely village named Uro, there was a woman named Kachi. Kachi was very special. She made the most beautiful clothes in the entire village. Everyone loved Kachi's clothes. They were as colorful as rainbows after the rain. Kachi was also very kind, always with a big smile, bright like the sun in the sky. She had 3 daughters who were as pretty as the clothes Kachi made. Kachi loved her daughters more than anything in the world and always made sure they wore the prettiest dresses. People in Uro said Kachi had a heart of gold. She shared her smiles and kind words as if they were treasures. Sometimes, she even gave away some of her beautiful clothes to those who didn't have nice things to wear. Kachi is the heart of Uro, people would say when they saw how happy she made everyone. Her house was always full of laughter and the sound of her loom. A loom is a big tool used for weaving clothes. It went click-clack as Kachi worked on it. Her daughters would play around, trying to help, making the house even more joyful. Everyone in the village loved visiting Kachi. They would bring her gifts of fruits and flowers because they appreciated her kindness. What would happen if more people were as generous as she was? And if everyone shared their gifts and skills with those in need? Kachi's kindness made the village a happier place. Even the birds and trees seemed to dance when Kachi and her daughters walked by. The whole village was like a big family, with Kachi and her big kind heart ensuring everyone was smiling and dressed in beautiful clothes. And so, Kachi spent her days weaving, loving, and spreading joy in Uro, the village that loved her just as much. It was a place where kindness shone bright, all thanks to Kachi, the beloved weaver with a heart of gold. But in the village of Uro, something new was about to happen in Kachi's life. One day, while she was busy weaving, Kachi felt a sudden pain. "Oh!" she exclaimed, a bit scared. People nearby ran to help her and quickly took her to see the wise healer of the village. The healer, with gentle hands and a kind voice, told Kachi, "You are going to have another baby." Kachi's heart filled with joy. She couldn't wait to tell her husband, Matsi, and her 3 beautiful daughters about the new little one they would soon meet. Months went by, and Kachi's belly grew bigger and bigger. It wasn't easy being pregnant, but the villagers were always there for her. Then came the day she was about to give birth. Kachi was in labor for 3 long days, but then there she was, a beautiful baby girl. This baby was different. Her skin was as pale as moonlight, and her hair shone like spun gold. Kachi's heart was a mix of joy and worry. She had a beautiful little girl, but the baby was albino, and in the village, people believed that albinos brought bad luck, like a cloud covering the sun. Is it really fair to judge someone just by their appearance? Doesn't God teach us to see beyond the outside? With tears and hope, Kachi named her baby Tina, my little gift from the gods. But not everyone saw Tina as a gift. When Matsi, Kachi's husband, saw his new daughter, he was filled with fear instead of joy. "This is bad luck," he said, frowning. "She cannot stay with us." Kachi's heart broke into a million pieces. How could her little Tina, so small and precious, be bad luck? Despite Matsi's words, Kachi couldn't let her daughter go. "She is our child, our little gift," Kachi pleaded. Matsi finally agreed to let Tina stay, but he said on one condition, "I don't want to see her." This made Kachi very sad, but she hugged Tina tighter, promising always to protect her. Kachi's daughters didn't know what to think of their new sister. They had heard their father and saw how the villagers whispered. They kept their distance, making Tina feel very lonely. How can something so pure be seen as a sign of something bad? Are we truly following God's teachings by rejecting those who are different? Kachi tried her best to keep her family happy. She worked harder than ever, weaving beautiful clothes, trying to spread joy and kindness even when her own heart was heavy. Matsi, on the other hand, grew more and more distant. He blamed every single problem on little Tina, saying she brought bad luck. The once happy house began to feel sad. Kachi lost many friends and customers. People in the village started avoiding her, all because of the whispers and fears about Tina's pale skin. But Kachi never stopped loving Tina. She knew her daughter was special, not bad luck. "We will show them, my little moonbeam," Kachi would say to Tina. "We will show them all how wonderful you are." And so, amidst the whispers and loneliness, Kachi's love for Tina shone as bright as the moon. She hoped that one day everyone would see Tina as she did, not as a sign of bad luck, but as a precious gift to be cherished. Will Kachi's faith in Tina be enough to change others' hearts? Doesn't God call us to love everyone, regardless of their appearance? And if the true test of prosperity is how we treat those who are different from us, what would that mean for us? However, Kachi's family faced difficult times. Even with the sun shining and the birds singing, there were shadows in Kachi's home because of little Tina's arrival. With her heart as big as ever, Kachi tried so hard to keep everyone happy that she pushed herself beyond her limits. She wove her beautiful clothes faster, hoping the bright colors and soft textures would remind the village of the joy they once shared. But it was tough, very tough. Will Kachi and Tina find the peace and acceptance they long for? Can Kachi's faith and kindness open the villagers' eyes? As time passed, Tina grew, and people began to see her inner and outer beauty. Still, many continued to treat her coldly. Tina's life in the village of Uro would never be easy, but her determination and her mother's faith kept shining. They faced many challenges, but they never stopped believing that God's kindness and love could transform even the hardest hearts. And you, what would you do if you were in Kachi's place? Would you accept the challenge of loving unconditionally and believing in the goodness that God sees in each of us? Think about it. Each of us has the power to weave a new future, one where everyone can be loved and accepted, no matter who they are. What choice will you make today? Weeks passed in the new village where Tina had found her home. Her talent for weaving and her kind heart quickly earned the respect and love of the villagers. Prince Kari, the son of the village chief, became her closest friend and eventually her great love. But was Tina truly ready for this new chapter of her life? Would there be more challenges ahead? Because even when we find our place, God often tests us to see if we remain on the path of humility and faith. Have you ever wondered if your blessings are aligned with God's plans for you? Although Tina was happy and accepted, she still had a deep desire to heal the wounds of her past. She felt that her new home, although full of love and acceptance, would not be complete until she faced her past in Uro and showed those who had rejected her that her difference was not a curse but a blessing. How many times have you carried the weight of an old pain and not realized that it is precisely this pain that needs to be healed for true prosperity to manifest? Doesn't God call us to forgive and release what holds us back? Returning to Uro, a step of courage and faith. With Kari's support, Tina made the difficult decision to return to Uro before her wedding, to seek her mother's blessing and perhaps reconcile with her past. What does it take for you to face your past? Is there someone or something you need to forgive to truly move forward? Upon arriving at the village, Tina was greeted with surprise. The girl who was once seen as a sign of bad luck was now radiant, accompanied by a prince from another village. The looks that were once judgmental were now curious. Tina knew she couldn't change the past, but she could change how people saw the future. Isn't this how God calls us to live, facing the world with courage, even when we don't know what is to come? Kachi, seeing her daughter, cried tears of joy. She felt that God had heard her prayers. "My daughter, you have come back," Kachi said, embracing Tina with all the love a mother could feel. Tina, in turn, shared everything she had experienced, from her departure from Uro to finding a place where she was truly accepted. But does true acceptance? Returning to Uro, a step of courage and faith, continued. But does true acceptance start from the outside or within? And if God is waiting for us to accept ourselves first, before seeking the acceptance of others, what might that mean for you? Transformation and forgiveness, a new chance for Uro. On that very day, Tina gathered the villagers and spoke from her heart. She was not there to seek validation, but to offer a new perspective. "Often, what we fear the most is what we need to know the most," she said. "If I had let fear define me, I would never have found the place where I belong. And what about you? What would you leave behind if you were no longer driven by fear?" Isn't that the message God gives us? To look beyond our fears and prejudices to find true freedom? Her words resonated in the hearts of the villagers. Some began to cry. Others felt deeply ashamed of how they had treated Tina and her family. The village chief, who had led many of the prejudices against Tina, stepped forward. "I ask for forgiveness," he said, his eyes filled with tears. "Forgive me for not seeing the beauty beyond what was different." Could forgiveness be the key to opening doors we thought were closed forever? Kachi, always wise and open-hearted, suggested that everyone in the village celebrate a new beginning. "If we can change our hearts," she said, "then we can change our village." And what if each of us decided to do the same in our own lives? What would change in our world if we started to forgive more and judge less? A new path to prosperity, cultivating faith and compassion. From that day on, Uro began to transform. People began to see Tina not just as the albino, but as a source of inspiration and strength. The women of the village came to learn weaving from her, and the men sought her advice. What started as an attempt at reconciliation became a movement of love and acceptance. And what about you? Have you used your talents and gifts to bring light around you? Or are you hiding your light for fear of being judged? Maybe it's time to think about how you can shine more in others' lives. Tina began teaching the village children about the importance of accepting and loving everyone, regardless of their appearance. She encouraged them to look with the eyes of the heart, as God does with us. When we look at each other with love and compassion, we reflect God's image, she would say. And if we do that, we will find true prosperity in our lives. Do you believe that prosperity is tied to how we treat others? How could you live differently if you truly believed this? The journey continues, beyond the horizons of Uro. After spending some time in Uro, Tina felt it was time to return to her new village and continue building her life with Carrie. She invited her mother to join her, and Kachi accepted with joy. But what would happen if each of us invited those we love to live closer to our hearts? And if God were calling us to open our hearts to those who need us most? As Tina, Carrie, and Kachi traveled back, Tina reflected on all she had learned. I realize now that prosperity is not about wealth or status, she told Carrie, but about the richness of our hearts, our ability to love, forgive, and accept. When we love without limits, we truly prosper. Is this how you define prosperity? And if it is, what do you need to change in your life to live according to this truth? On their way back, Tina and Carrie passed through several other villages. In each place they visited, Tina shared her story, her journey from rejection to acceptance, from fear to love. Her message was simple but profound: never judge by appearance, see the heart, and there you will find the truth. People listened, some with tears in their eyes, others with new thoughts forming. Maybe true change begins with a simple shift in perspective. And you? Are you ready to change how you see the world and others? Teaching love and acceptance, a new purpose. When they arrived back home, Tina felt a new purpose. She wanted to expand her small weaving house into a place of teaching, where everyone from all villages could come to learn not only to weave but to live a life of acceptance and love. I want everyone to learn that it is possible to create beauty even with the most uneven threads, she said to Carrie. Just as God does with us, using all our differences to create something beautiful. Have you ever stopped to think that God might be weaving something incredible with your imperfections? Soon, her home became a place of healing and growth. People from all around came to learn from Tina and Kachi, finding not only weaving skills but also spiritual and emotional wisdom. Isn't this what God calls us to do? To use our life experiences, both good and bad, to help others find their own paths? How can you use your own experiences to help heal the world around you? The transformation of love, building a community of faith and unity. As time went by, the community around Tina and Carrie grew and flourished. They built a place where people could gather, pray, and share their stories of faith and overcoming. And isn't that what true community is about? It's not about wealth or status, but about how we lift each other up, how we encourage each other to grow in faith and grace. Tina began to feel that her purpose was expanding even more. What if we went beyond? She asked Carrie one night. What if we spread this message of love and acceptance to farther villages, maybe even cities? Have you ever considered that God might have a bigger plan for you, beyond your current dreams? Are you listening to the call to go beyond what you thought was possible? A new beginning, the call for action and expansion. And so Tina and Carrie began to prepare for a new journey, this time, beyond the villages and into the larger cities. They knew there would be challenges, but they also knew that God was with them. And what about you? Are you willing to follow God's call, even when it takes you out of your comfort zone? What are you willing to sacrifice to follow the divine plan for your life? As they prepared to leave, Tina left one final message for her community. Never forget that each of us has a unique light within us. Don't let fear or prejudice dim that light. God made us to shine, each in our own way. And you, are you ready to let your light shine? Are you prepared to live a life of purpose, where true prosperity is measured by love, faith, and acceptance?